everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you're on the lifeboat. Welcome, everybody. It is Sunday in the afternoon. Sunday in the afternoon, baby. Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. Anyone? Yeah, people, you know what? You do have to sub every gang. It kicks you out of the sub count. It does. I've gotten so many emails from so many people that says that they find themselves kicked out of the subscribers. I am sorry that is happening to you. Just check and see if you're subscribed. If you're not, hit subscribe again. Hey, VT Kitten. So I wanted to come on and gloat a little bit. In all honesty, I wanted to come on and gloat a little bit because there's a couple of really cool things that are happening here on the lifeboat. Inappropriate Heifer, good to see you. So in the month of December, before we hit January the 1st and become 2024, the lifeboat is going to celebrate its 1 millionth time that somebody has come by looking for help. We are going to hit 1 million views in this month, which is insane. And also, what is insane is that we did about 60% of that in the last 5 months. We also have broken 16,000. And what's crazy, I was going back through some videos the other day, and I came on here and I said, you know, if you turned on the lifeboat and you left it on 24 hours a day, it would take 10 years to watch all of the watch time that has been amassed by people on the lifeboat, right? Watching this, which is astounding to me, right? 10 years. So I went back to look at that video. It was 12 or 13 days ago. We are now at 20 years of watch time. We are doubling the amount of time that people have watched the lifeboat about every 30 to 60 days, right? Or less. It's insane the amount of people that are seeing what we see, right? And it should make a lot of sense, right? Somebody said to me, I was talking, you know who it was? It was Relatable Reese. Relatable Reese and I were talking, and do you know why? I'll tell you why, people. Because tomorrow I am going on with Relatable Reese. We're doing a show tomorrow. So we have heard you. She got a bunch of emails that said, how come you don't ever do anything with Tommy Scoville? And I get a bunch of stuff that says, how come you never do anything with Relatable Reese? So we are doing one tomorrow. Let me check the time and make sure I don't do this wrong because I'm not the brightest bulb sometimes. Let's see here. You know what's funny too is I said, anytime you want. You know, we've been missing each other. I said I could do it anytime you want, right? Anything. I'm sorry. Thank you, Nat. You look good in green. Ensign, Matt. So I said, look, I can do it anytime you want because we've been just really missing each other. So she said, how about 1:30 tomorrow afternoon? I said, nah, far too busy. How about next week? Maybe the week after. Just messing with her. But so tomorrow, 1:30, right? Tomorrow we are going to be doing it at 1:30 Central Time. Everybody get that? That's 1:30 at Central Time. So that would be what? 3:30 here. So yeah, 3:30 on the West Coast. DJ Daddy, good to see you. 16K. And I'll tell you why every once in a while I come on to do one of these gloat shows. It's just because there were so many haters that really did not like the idea of what we were doing here. There were so many haters that took so much joy in trying to stop what we had going. And there was a very famous video made, famous among the boat people. There's a famous video where somebody said that the lifeboat would be sunk before the end of the month and would never hit 1,300 subscribers. And this person predicted that because they were doing what they could to sink it. But here we are at 16,000, and I think the last time I looked, they had 138 or something. We have a really cool message, man. Let me explain once and for all for everybody who has asked why how the Scientology thing came into the whole drug thing. Here's what it comes down to. What's the opposite of addiction? Right? We do this every day here. Right? What is the opposite of addiction? Well, then Jeremy Shelton, you ain't getting no coke. You ain't paying no 50 cents for no coke. I love a good reference from Caddyshack. A good Caddyshack reference is always strong. But the opposite of addiction is connection. We all believe this. We all understand this. We all get that, right? Scientology is a religion that has a doctrine called disconnection, right? We should be it should be super obvious why this is something that I really don't dig, right? Anything that is asking you to disconnect from your family, to disconnect from society, to disconnect from anyone who's not an echo chamber for exactly what you believe, it's probably not a great thing. You know, do what you do. Connection, connection. What's your... Oh, Lenny, if I start singing that, I'm not going to talk to you for the rest of the day. That is really... Just joining in. Congrats. Thank you, Nacho Mom. It's, there she is. I knew she'd make an appearance. Cults are addictive. They absolutely are. And it's the same reason, right? People, make no mistake. Why do people join cults? The same reason they put a straw up their nose. Make no mistake. Because it feeds something that they're not getting in their life, right? We do drugs because there is something in our life we can't deal with. And the drugs makes that palpable, right? It makes it so that we can get through it. By the way, for all you Aussies who are donating money to the Vegemite Fund, have no fear. The Vegemite is here, right? Get me to 100,000. We'll eat some Vegemite. Until then, there'll be no Vegemite talk. You know what? We're going to hit 100K and I'm going to have to eat this garbage and it's going to suck. I really dislike this stuff. When I said it, it was such a safe thing to say. It really was. It was 97,000 people away and we were growing by about, 5 or 6 subscribers a week or something like that. And now we're growing by like 140 subscribers a day. And that Vegemite, that's just not going to be good, but it'll be worth it. It will be happy. And it was funny. I don't know if you caught this, but I was doing a live with my brother and he goes, yeah, we get that, you get your silver play button. You can go right below mine over there. I said, right below yours? No, it will go above that one. Thank you, Sharon. Here's the deal though, honestly. All of you are really the, it's fermenting till 100K. That's right, Nick. All of you are the reason that we have it. I'm not kidding you, people. I do what I do. I haven't changed dramatically. I really haven't. I do what I do. But what happens is we got to a point where there's enough people here that start to tell other people, right? Like now I get emails from someone that said, so-and-so told me about your channel. And they're not talking about like they saw it through somebody. A friend said, hey man, you should check out the lifeboat. This is a pretty cool concept. And that once people start referring you word of mouth, honestly, you're good. I mean, that really is what separates being really successful, I think, in this is when people start to talk about you. Tommy, forget the air quotes for the religion word. They are straight up cult. Thank you. You're right. I don't know why I do that. P.S. Vegemite is straight up dirt. See, Aunt C gets it. I'm sorry. Aunt C gets it. Did you see that? She gets it. Kathy Ann says, what would you say is the biggest withdrawal for those that get kicked out of Scientology or escape? Their family, the mentality, the doctrine, their life, right? Their life. This is something that I really didn't have a handle on until I started spending a lot of time with second gens. Getting away from that is the greatest thing in the whole world, right? But it's not. Yeah, it's a terrible place to be and it's awful, but it is everything you know. It's the guy at prison who would rather stay in there than go out to a world that he doesn't understand, right? And this happens every day in prison, by the way. There are guys who are going to... I sat there listening to an old man once and I said, what are you going to do when you get out? He said, I'm just keeping it real. He said, I'm probably going to spend about 2 to 3 weeks with a prostitute. He said, I got about enough money saved up to do that. He said, and then I'm going to go rob a bank. He said, and I might even call him and tell him I'm going to do it. Gail, I'm happy that you caught alive. We're glad you're here. So that's a mentality that we get trapped in, right? It's just like when we talk about drug addiction. Let's talk about the gambler. The gambler, if he makes $100,000 on a bet, he should be set, right? He got all of his money back. Everything he's lost, he's set. He can walk out of the casino and he's good, right? Everything came back. He'll lose all of it back and probably in the first day or two. Because the baseline is, I've just lost everything. What am I going to do? As crazy as it sounds, that's what the brain's gotten comfortable with. And that is the baseline for the heroin addict. The baseline is, I'm sick and I need dope, right? Or I just fixed and I'm well and I'm worried about the next one. That's really, there's nothing else. And we will, institutionalization of all sorts. Thank you, Tommy Bird. He did a better job of that than I did. But that really is what it is. You become so institutionalized. I think when people disconnect from family, that's got to be the toughest thing in the world, right? But it's also everything you know. Cults are fantastic at making you really different from society. It's essential that we have our own vocabulary, right? If we're going to be a cult, we have to have our own vocabulary, and it has to be a vocabulary that nobody else speaks, right? And you'll find this with every single cult that you're going to come across. In my opinion, this is something that is just a reoccurring thing. They all have they'll use, L. Ron Hubbard didn't come up with anything. He didn't. He stole everything, right? These are all techniques, and these are all concepts rather that they had been talking about for, since eons before that man ever came up with anything. But what he was, he understood the concept. What he had going for him was he was damn good at writing, and he wrote a doctrine, and people sat and listened. If anything you're doing in life is suggesting that you need to remove yourself from people that don't do exactly what they're teaching you, you should run like hell. Honestly, you should run like hell. I believe this. I absolutely believe this. Recovering from 20 years in the U.S. Marine Corps was really difficult for my husband. I absolutely believe that. It just makes sense. I mean, again, there is so much similarity between prison and the military. I'm not trying to pick on the military at all. What I'm trying to say is it is regimented. You're sleeping here. You're doing this. There's no talking back. There's a lot of similarities, except, again, one is a hero and one is a dirtbag. But there is a whole lot of, there's a whole lot of similarities in that you're giving up your freedom. You're giving up that world. Yeah, you get day passes or you get, weekend furlough or whatever, but you're still giving up a good deal of your life, Thank you, Quiet Girl, and thank you for all of your help along the way. I promise you, people, we're not sitting here at 16,000 without the crew of the lifeboat. Right? You are the crew of the lifeboat. That is the 16,000. Oh, man. Oh, my word. A question was asked on a show in the UK showing L. Ron testing something. The question was, what was it all about? Answer, veggies have feelings, idiot. I actually have seen that clip of film that she's talking about. Mischief Manager's right. It is also very culty in that we're the best. Everybody else sucks, right? I mean, and that's a mentality that you kind of have to have in a fighting force. Whole different language, right? What did you graduate at? I was in E4, right? They all, when you hear military people talk, it's just like hearing convicts talk. We also have our own language, right? Because we were separated from society. There's very culty things about prisons and about how things tip up inside. By the way, somebody reached out and was asking me a question about, in terms of like white gangs, black gangs, Mexican gangs, things like that, in terms of size, who is the largest? Hands down, the Mexicans make up more by far than any other gang. There are more Mexicans that are gang affiliated in the U.S. than there is anyone else by a chunk. They're in the 40% range. Blacks are in the 30s, and whites are down about 15%, which is kind of funny because that 15%, I swear to God, causes all of the trouble. Like I knew an old white man, and he said to me, ain't nothing worse than getting on a yard where everybody's white. He said, because they will screw that yard up worse than you can possibly imagine. It's one of those things, and he's right. I'm sorry, people, I've got a sore throat. And he's right. When you got a bunch of white boys on the yard, the politics among the white guys, they were all killing each other. And it was one of the problems I had with the whole concept of the gang thing, You all came together to protect yourselves. But the only people you ever stab are your own race or your own people or your own gang members. Didn't seem to make any sense to me. Audio gone. Is everyone's audio gone? Can I get a 5x5? Is that for everybody? Can I get a 5x5? My buddy is in ATM. I don't know where ATM is. Thank you, Noise Opera. Thanks, Vixen. ATM. And he's the only white guy in his unit. Is that what you said? That actually happens a lot. It really does. That happens a lot. Here's the thing though. Honestly, so I did time on a yard where there were 30, no, there was 89 white dudes on a full size yard. So 90 counting a guy that was in a wheelchair that probably wasn't going to help much when things got bad. But there was right at the 90 guy mark, which made us less than 10% of the yard. No one treated you like crap because of it. You're worried that if anything breaks off. Inside prison, you would be blown away at how respectable the races treat one another. For real. Because the last thing in the world you want to do is cause problems with something that's outside your car, right? Like you cause problems with another race, and usually your boys, the fellas, don't want you around anymore, right? That's the kind of thing that causes all kinds of problems, and no one needs any more problems in the joint. Honestly, the lower the custody level, the more dangerous. I mean, the less regulation it is, right? A white and a black guy can get into a fist fight in a camp because there's really nobody regulating that. That would never happen without people authorizing it, right, at the upper levels. And I don't ever want to take. I'm not going to get into a peeing contest with guys who have prison channels because it's stupid. But I heard somebody say something that I thought I didn't like the way it was worded, and I kind of took umbrage with it, but took unction with it. But what the guy said was, if you go in there with a messed up charge, right, you can never get a fair fight. And there's something really legit to that, right? If you go in with bad paperwork, anybody can hit you. They don't need permission for it. They don't need to go to a cell. But it's more than that, right? Because you could be attacked by somebody outside your race and no one's going to care or do anything about it. It really is a bad thing to go in like that. Oh my goodness. I lived on base housing at Camp Lejeune. My ex-husband was in the Corps. 3 tours in Afghanistan. It was absolutely like another country being on base and driving into town with civilians, air quotes. Kathy Ann, a lot of lawsuits about the water coming out of Camp Lejeune. I hope that you are safe. Yeah, fentanyl is hideous, people. Fentanyl is hideous. Yeah, the water there was supposedly the worst on the planet, and that's a little frightening. Did we just get a yay Reese because Reese is here, or because I said I was going on Reese? Because I didn't see her. But yes, I'm very happy to be going on with Reese. I think it's going to be a great show. I really do. I have very, very high hopes for doing a show with Reese. She's just a fun personality. Like I like watching Reese. Usually, if I like watching you, it's probably going to be fun to go on your show. There are people. I mean, I go on shows sometimes where it's going to pay off. To go on doesn't always necessarily mean. Sometimes it's for the benefit of the boat, and I might not love what I'm doing, but I really think that this is going to be a fun one. And like Bryce is the same way. I love working with Bryce. Bryce is awesome. I love working with the team over at Surviving the Survivor. Probably the coolest people you would ever want to come in contact with. That really is a family. Like the way they treat everybody, I've been treated better by them than just about anyone I've ever worked with. They're great people. That really is an interesting question, Inappropriate Heifer. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to cross that bridge when we get to it. Someone else asked me that question earlier, which I think is really funny. I think she's a pretty cool human too, and amazingly, in a lot of ways, I think we're pulling in the same direction. Just watched the Drew Peterson vid. Crazy, right? That's crazy stuff. It really was. It was that was a case study. Gargle with salt water because it sounds like I gargled with glass. Is it the sound I'm making? I mean, this voice is, believe it or not, this is probably about as good as it gets. But thank you so much, Shishi from Jersey. It's a great name. Great name, Martha Simmons. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. So I'm hoping that everybody is happy. We got through the. That is the best part of Reese. Yeah, well, we should get some laughs, and we're going to do that over on Reese's channel, not here on the boat. And I'll tell you why. Because I want everybody from the boat to go over there. I would like to see us really well represented over on her channel. And, when everybody's pulling in the same direction for real, like I just did a huge video. There are so many there are so many views rolling in because when you interview Aaron, you're gonna get a ton of views, you know. So I said, well, why don't we do it over on your channel, and then we'll bring the whole boat. Are here gargling with Vegemite helps a lot. Well, thank you, Jeremy. That's fantastic. Do me a favor, grab Charlie, and the both of you can hop over the rail. I was going to ask, can you drop the link for Drew Peterson? Can I get a wrench to drop the link to Esoteric Atlanta, Bryce, over at Esoteric Atlanta? And I'll warn you, you can deep dive on Bryce's page for a long time. She's like, you know who she's like with that big time is Kermit the Frog. Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog. Trinity. Trinity's fantastic. Another great content creator. I hear gargling with Vegemite helps a lot. That's not funny. It's not. Gargle salt water for a sore throat. My throat, I think, stays basically perpetually messed up. The Reese thing is at 1 o'clock on Central Time. 1 o'clock Central. 1 o'clock her time. So, cool. And Hummingbird, part 2 is up on that channel. So, thank you, Pup Groomer. What a cool thing to say. Thanks, Barbie World. I appreciate you too. Simons. Did you really wait until I had butchered that 35 times before telling me? Martha Simons. It's so good to see you. You know, we screw all of those up. Like, it bothers me that we don't say zebra and that we say zebra. We have a terrible language, but I say zebra. I'm not playing their game. Because if I had a friend and her name was Debra, I wouldn't call her Debra. None of you have any friends named Debra. You know what? I have heard this from so many people. Tommy, just want to say I'm so grateful for the extra content. The holidays sucked due to the loss of my daughter. Now, I just lost a very old friend a couple of days ago due to alcohol. I'm so sorry. And I'm sorry for the loss of your daughter. And I'm sorry that the holiday seasons are tough. But you know what? It is why we're doing, it is why we're putting up more content. I mean, honestly, people have said, you know what? It's great to be able to come here and just interact. It's different than going and watching the shows. It is. The replay crew is great. I love that they come and they watch it. But you know what? It is fantastic if you get the opportunity. And I thought if I'm doing a show in the day, we got a better shot of letting some people from other parts of the world jump in. And we're celebrating this thing all over the world. So we're gonna be going hard in the month of December. And I would imagine I will go a little less hard in the month of January. We will probably be backing off a little bit. But I've also got 2 or 3 massive things coming up in that month. So my late former sister-in-law was a Debra. She was a Debra? No, she was a Deborah. Right? This one drives me nuts. It really does. It should not be zebra. It should be zebra. And the rest of the world says zebra. But I think that we wanted to say from A to Z, and we needed something to put on that cool little thing. You remember on the top of the chalkboard, right? And the very first one had an apple on it. The very last one had a zebra on it. Well, but they wanted to like emphasize that that was the letter Z, and I think that's why we did it. Here's my theory. I'm sticking to it. That's my theory. You know what's funny? So I worked with a guy, and we did a public speaking thing together, and the thing that he was selling was the ultimate memory, right? It was a kit that they sell that could try to help people with the get the best memory or whatever. And what it was that this guy he was photographic. He had a photographic memory, and he was audiographic. He was amazing. He was like, and I have a freaky memory, but this dude, and it was really an issue. Like, I remember going to Las Vegas with him, and I said, we should go down and gamble a little, right? We're speaking in Vegas. He goes, oh, I can't gamble at any casinos. He's like, I've been thrown out of every casino on the planet, because the guy, I mean, he can count a deck of cards, 52, 100, a 6-deck shoe. The guy could memorize one. Like, he's a circus freak. And, But he would stand at the front of the door on the way in and he would say, "Hi, Barbie World, how are you? Wharton Fissel, nice to meet you. Rolling Stone." And he would shake every hand on the way in. And he would do it to 200, 300 people in the room. And he'd go, "All right, let's go. We'll pick a row. Somebody yell out a row number." And you hear 6. And he goes down to the 6th row and he goes from one side to the other and does every single name. And I promise you, the people in the room are like, "I'm buying this kid." Sadly, it didn't do a whole lot to, but I got really good at watching him call out names. He was third position. So for about a year, I watched him do this. And it was a lot of names. And I got better at pronunciation. I've run into a lot of people with a lot of, and the boat, being all over the world. No, zebra comes from Portuguese word with a long S sound that the New England accent changed to a long E sound. See, now that's an intelligent answer. It's almost too intelligent an answer. You're on the lifeboat. No, zebra comes from a Portuguese word with a long A sound, like the New England accent. A changed to a long E sound. I will fall back to the have you ever met a zebra? Or another theory is that zebra was see, now she's got me hanging. You did that on purpose, didn't you, Amy? You got me hanging on your next word. Hello, Kay. Glad that you're here. Kid Gulliver, good to see you. We're all, Kathy, send me an email to sober@myyahoo.com and I can get you an address. Henny is a cool name. I love that name. The original way it was pronounced in England. Okay. I may be able to buy that. My theory, I'm sticking with this, is that they just wanted to be able to say from A to Z and have the apple and the zebra thing. That's my theory. I'm sticking with it. But you know what else? Look, people, do you know why the keys on a keyboard are set up the way that they are? Honestly? Do you know why we have set up, it's not random, the placement of where everything is on a keyboard. It was designed to slow down typing because the strikers used to stick to one another. If somebody was typing too quickly and you didn't wait for the first striker to come back, they would jam against each other. And when they first put out a keyboard and they put it just like the alphabet, so it was alphabetical, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? No, Amy, I promise you, it's not because we use certain letters too much. It was to slow down the process. Now, they sell a keyboard today that is an alphabetical order keyboard. If you are not someone who is already a typist, like if you're not someone who has learned the homeroom and hands-on homeroom and all that garbage, right? Like me. And you get on one of these, you know where every single letter is. It is the wildest thing in the entire world. I just saw one recently for the first time, and I was a beast. You would not believe how well I type. When you stick those keys in alphabetical order, I seem to just magically know where all of them are. But we're going to stick with this stupid keyboard layout until the end of time. Because somewhere we would have to say, all right, we're going back to the logical way. And no one seems to just be ready to do that. But our kids, you know how much faster? If you had just put the damn thing in alphabetical order, we're not a very logical society sometimes. I mean, Y2K was another beautiful example of that, wasn't it? All of these geniuses out designing things and none of them ever went, oh crap, what's going to happen when we get to 1999? You would have thought someone would have maybe thought of that prior to 3 or 4 years away, right? Oh no. The first typewriter was in a ball configuration. Those are better than the QWERTY keyboard. I thought the very first one were strikers, and then the ball was the second. I could be wrong. The roller ball was great. I actually had one of those in college. I had the little roller ball thing that would go. Well, you're right. You make a good point. You know what's funny too? This was always. I used to tell people in the United States of America, right? It's different than the rest of the world. But you want to find out who the drug addicts are in high school in the United States of America. Wait until they teach metrics. And you can sit in the class and I promise you, you will know who the drug addicts are. Because the teacher will start off with how many grams are in an ounce? And there'll be 4 people in the class that know exactly the answer to all of those questions and all of them are on drugs. Like I remember that day so vividly growing up so the guy was like, and how many grams are in a quarter ounce? And a close friend of mine was like 7, unless you buy it from Mitch. And then it's probably 4.5. He's usually got his finger on the scale. To make you type slower, because it used to be typewriter. Sarah Matthew knows. It really was to slow you down. Yeah, we're fond of the metric system. Usually the only people who talk about a metric... I saw an old typewriter that was circle shaped with just music notes. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard. The typewriter for busting out. Yeah, that's super cool. That would be such a cool thing to have in your house. For real, Christy Covington. How cool would that be to have in your home? Like, that is a conversation starter. Typing at 75 words per minute, I never considered the impact changing it could have. Fascinating. This is going to sound really stupid. Is that good? Is 75 words a minute really hauling the mail? Like, is that cooking? Because that sounds like it's a lot, but I don't have any idea. That is a decent question. Where were you 12/31/1999? Nat B from Canada says, you say 1 gram, I automatically think $15. Yeah, about right. Yeah. See? Yeah, this is where my head was always too. They started talking about quarter ounces, and they had been going down the list, right? They started out at what was a kilo, and then they kept going down to smaller increments. And when they got to a quarter ounce, in their head, there's nothing. That's like the smallest that they're going to go down to, and then the next is going to be just the gram, the actual measuring, the increment. But to everybody in the room, they were like, what about the 8-ball? You know what I mean? What about the 1/8 of an ounce? Like, you can't not do the 1/8 of an ounce. That's kind of a big one, but it wasn't in our classes. I learned on the old blank key machines from a dragon lady in junior high school. I type 100 words a minute. Now I have carpal tunnel. I'm so sorry. That sucks. Toady one skips. I'm going to guess this was not a nice video. Am I right? Because I don't know who Toady one skips is. But just in case it's not a nice video, maybe I shouldn't advertise it. No, but I would imagine that there's a lot of people out there that are going to seize on that video, because in the game that we play here on YouTube, there are a lot of people who only do what they do to get views, right? And some of them say, I'll have people that review shows of mine and do really nice reviews in hopes of maybe my audience starting to, maybe become part of their audience. And that's a cool thing too, right? Like, that's synergy, and people do stuff like that. And obviously Aaron and I work together. And when I go on his channel, he tends to get more views on that video than if he does the video without me. And if he comes on my channel, I'm going to get 10 times the views I normally get. And those kind of like synergistic stuff, that's fun to do. Those kind of collaborations are great. But a lot of people who don't get invites to collabs, or who aren't necessarily there yet, try to, it makes sense for somebody to talk about the video that he and I did. I hope they were kind. They probably were not. Y2K was a hoax to get people to date their systems for a more digital world. Just my opinion. You know what? It holds as much weight as any other, my friend. I struggled with that. So I was in Utah. I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, where I had just, I was working as a speaker then. And I had just come back from Canada. And I was going to be having a small get together with my first wife, and one of my business partners and his wife came over to our house, and that's what we did for New Year's. And you know what? It was fun. It was not like, it was probably, I would say we did less for New Year's than anyone else did, right? I mean, honestly, like, we did, considering it was that, considering it was the next century. I know I'm not drug related. I'm Australian. 100 words a minute. Yeah, sounds like a lot of words. You know what? You're not the first person to tell me that. You know, I wish that she was posting stuff of her own because she's fun to watch, but I don't really want to watch her on anyone else's channel. I think, I think she has a channel. I really think she has a channel. I don't think she's posted much on it, but I'm pretty sure that Leah Remini has a channel. I'm almost 100% sure. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be shocked. Grandma kept calling it KY2. She was horrified when we told her to knock it off. That sounds, I had a grandmother that screwed up everything, verbally, everything. Never got anything right. It was very, very funny. We knew a person whose name was Violus, right? And like she used to refer to him as colitis on a regular basis. Like she always screwed up everything like that. And it got to a point where we would look forward to it. Like those little mess ups became pretty funny stuff. But if she had been alive then, KY2 sounds like something she would have said. She does, but it is slow moving generally. Thank you, Leah. Or yeah, Leah, Lee. Yeah, I'm great. DJ Daddy-O. Almost everything. This is funny. Almost everything dimensionally in my line of work is metric. It's funny to watch some people get prints that are in inches and have no clue how to understand what weld sizes fractions are. You know, we learned fractions at a young age because Papa Scoville was funny as heck. And he would say stuff like, who wants, he would pull out the whole bar and say he was willing to give somebody half. Or I could give you 2/3. And we'd be like, 2/3, right? That sounded better. And, or he would keep saying, I'll give you 1/5 of it or 1/6 of it or 1/7 of it. And by the time you were up to a 1/10, you'd be like, yes. And then he would give you this itty bitty little piece and we'd be like, what the heck just happened? Like that was my intro to fractions, was my dad breaking up candy bars. And it didn't take too many of those for us to be like, I don't want 1/8 of that. I want a whole of that. I want every bit of that. It's one of those that, and there's nothing worse. Here's the other thing. Do you know how many times on this channel I've called somebody a woman or a guy and never get it right? So I no longer if there's a name and I can't make out the avatar, so like your avatars are bigger on the screens behind me, which is why you see me staring up here all the time. But if I can't make out the avatar, I don't guess anymore because I'm never right. Even though it's 50-50, you would think that with a 50-50 chance, right? Half the time you would win, half the time you would lose. It doesn't work that way. That's a great question. This is a really great question. How did you get into public speaking and what did you speak about? Was it motivational or sales? It was sales. It was sales, business opportunity sales. What happened is I started in a network marketing company. Didn't even understand what a network marketing company was, but I thought it had a really cool product and I thought I could sell it. And I started I ran an ad in a paper, right? To talk, hopefully people would show up. Like 6 people showed up. It was embarrassing as hell, but I went up to the 6th and said, bring about 5 people. And I will guarantee you, I will lock the doors and not one person is leaving this room until every single person buys. So about 3 or 4 of them did. And in about 2 or 3 months, there was about 800 people coming to this weekly meeting, right? And bringing people. And a professional public speaker walked over with one of his speakers, a guy named Danny. So it was Rex and Danny, and they were in the back of the room mocking me through my entire presentation, taking their shirts off, rubbing themselves, just stupid things, trying to throw me through this entire presentation. And I'm just getting sort of angry, And at the end of it, instead of shaking hands and talking to everybody, I went to find these guys because I was ready to smack the crap out of at least one of them. And when I went in, I was like, hey, you got an issue? The guy's like, you're not too bad at that. And I was like, well, what's the deal with you? He goes, I wanted to see if you would be easily, thrown off. And I'm like, to what end? And he said, well, I would like to talk to you about working for me. And I said, well, the beautiful thing about what I'm doing right now is I don't work for anybody. I don't have any desire to work for anyone. And he's like, well, you'd make a lot more money. And I go, yeah, well, you don't know what money I'm making. I thought I was making pretty good money. And then he took out a roll of cash that looked like something out of a mafia movie, right? It was literally a roll. And he threw it to me like it was a baseball. It turned out to be about $6,000, but he threw it to me like a baseball. And he goes, tell you what, you listen to 15 minutes of what I got to say and you can keep that. And I said, you have a deal. And I called my wife and said, I'm going to be late coming home. And that's how I became a public speaker. He said, I will put you on the negative I am a meat popsicle. uh, Fifth Element, right? Bruce Willis in the hallway in Fifth Element. Can't stump me. So that's how I got into it. And what they said is, you go on the road with us as a road crew, and in about 2 or 3 months, we'll give you a shot at speaking. And my 5th day on the road, one of our speakers turned out to be wildly on drugs and took off. And they said, do you think there's any chance in hell that you would be able to memorize this thing in time to go on stage? And I had already memorized it. So instead of saying to him, it's already memorized, I said, let me see what I can do. And I went down to the room, and I came back up about 20 minutes later and said, I think I got it. And he said, look, this isn't funny. I said, no, I think I got it. And I went out on stage and did it, and that was history. I made money on the first time I went out for the company. I did well enough that, and I stunk, by the way. I was terrible, but I made enough money to justify keeping me on, I guess. And then I got pretty good at it, and I started making a really decent amount of money. Unfortunately, I was doing so much drugs that it didn't matter. Thank you, Lily. Yes. Tommy, just wanted to make sure you know that 1 p.m. Central Time is 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which technically would be noon my time, because we don't celebrate your silly daylight savings. But I won't miss it either. I'm very, very excited about this collaboration. So I will be there, and we're going to be on Relatable Reese's channel. So make sure you get over there. Zach D, good to see you, man. All is well, people. I'll be really honest with you. All is fantastic. Got my new light wired up in the front of the house. So now I can actually flip a light on in front of the door. Somehow the people that lived here didn't have anything. So it's kind of odd. So, but I do have a really cool light that I just installed. And what's funnier is somebody got shocked in the process of putting it in, and it wasn't me. I did not get shocked. And that always makes me really happy. Sigma 6 is a cult. I don't know what Sigma 6 is. Do I need to research Sigma 6? Six Sigma, rather? Six Sigma. I've never even heard of this. I'm sorry, Mary. Can we get some thoughts and prayers for Mary Jones? Fibromyalgia is no joke. It really isn't. It's and I've been speaking with people. There are so many of you that have it. It's amazing the number of people on the lifeboat that have fibromyalgia. I mean, it shouldn't shock me, I guess, because when you start dealing with pain and doctors that don't seem to get the fact that you're in pain, well, that's how you end up places like the lifeboat. Zoe, thank you very much. That is a very kind thing to say. That is really, honestly, I mean that. You know what? You watch a movie and there's a suspension of disbelief. You know what I'm saying? Like if I go to watch a Batman movie, or I go to watch, Spider-Man, you have to suspend disbelief because there's no Spider-Man, right? And I think that there's probably a break-in period of listening to somebody that's done the things that I've done, and where you kind of gotta, I don't know. I know that people come around. Some people come around slowly. Some people come around quickly. I think it's the audience. I really do. I think that the crew here on the lifeboat. Lee, thank you so much. You look great in green. And then, but I don't know. I feel really blessed that everybody here. Six Sigma sounds like a fraternity, doesn't it? I'll be really honest. I've seen some fraternities that really bordered on the cult thing. I'm not even being funny in any way. Like I've seen some creepy fraternity antics that there's no club in the world I want to be a part of that much. And I think one of the greatest quotes ever from anyone was Groucho Marx said, "I would never want to be a member of a club that would have me as a member." And I kind of always felt that way. You know what? We all have mental health issues, including fibromyalgia. I'm sorry. I really am. See, you know what? I understand the fibromyalgia thing maybe better than next. I don't know the pain you're going through, and I would be lying if I did. But I was in a lot of pain and having to go to a pain specialist. And you're very often told that you're just there to get dope, right? And that's really a frustrating thing. right? To have to hear every time, especially if you're actually in pain. But on top of that, that there's also, I don't know, it's more than there's also the fact that prior to them accepting this disease concept of addiction, prior to them realizing that you could take a picture of somebody's brain who's an addict and you actually can see something on there that doesn't occur in the next scan, right? That's a test. And one of the litmus tests of a disease is that there is a test you can do to test for it. If there's no way to test for a disease, technically it's not a disease. And that's the only thing that's holding up the fibromyalgia thing. The day is coming where they're going to have a test, or they're going to have a way to show how one person has it and the next person doesn't. At which point the world is going to say, yeah, that's a disease, right? Which will be a good thing, because there's nothing worse than someone telling you, that what you have isn't real, or what you have, doesn't rise to the level of this or that. That's just a BS thing to say to somebody that's in pain. Right? Somebody that's burning through their entire body and going through all of the things that fibromyalgia does, they don't want to hear that crap. They really don't. And I get that. That's a part of this that I understand, So I don't know, I guess I feel maybe some kind of a bond or some kind of a kindred or whatever with that. And I'm looking forward to the day where they're actually recognizing that. Pain is relative. Every single person feels pain differently. Every single person, can tolerate pain to a different level, right? Like when you go in right now and you walk into a doctor's office and they say, all right, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your pain level at, right? Have you ever told them 10? I've never been at a 10. I'm always afraid that if I tell somebody 10, something's going to come along that's worse. But I've only been at a 9 a couple of times, and there's not much you won't do to make that pain go away when you're at a 9, right? There should be something out there. Mary, I think that would probably be a decent idea, and I appreciate you writing to me. And I really do respond to my emails. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but depending. But I respond to emails. It's important to me. I think it's really jacked that there are people that don't. I can't imagine not responding to emails. It would seem like what I'm doing is just a joke, honestly, right? And that's not connection. Tommy, it's an AMA insurance thing. Massage therapists can detect fibromyalgia by touch points. Interesting. And I believe that, Martha. By the way, I absolutely believe that. But what they want is something where you can test with a piece of paper that's literally like a litmus piece of paper, or a computer that can screen. Touch is completely legit, but they're never going to take that. I promise. The science part of medicine needs to understand that there's a voodoo part of medicine. And I mean that in the utmost respect. What I mean by that is that there's a whole section of medicine that they can't understand, but is real, right? That's if there's something out there that you can't understand, but it is real, you got to start treating it like it is. I'm sorry. I meant no disrespect by the voodoo line. My friend says that all the time, and I like it. Hi, Tommy. I was diagnosed in 2000 with fibromyalgia. With your help and everyone here helped me to get off pain medication after 30 years prescribed. Oh my God. You know what, crew? How cool is that? Huh? 30 years prescribed. Anna, you're a hero. And the crew of the lifeboat, for assisting you, are heroes. Every last one of them. And that's the truth. People, 30 years, that's me, man. I was on opiates for 30 years. You have any idea how hard that is? I agree with you. What a great comment. Drop the microphone, Rose. Drop the microphone and walk away. Sorry, Rosemary. I was married to a Rosemary, and I used to call her Rose. Lishka gifted 5 boat memberships. Thank you kindly. You know what? It's a very giving group of people. See this? It took until I was 38 or 40 to get the correct diagnosis, being fobbed off by doctors left and right. This is something that I really want everyone to take away from what we do here. Your husband calls it alternative medicine woo woo. I've heard that one too. Woo woo. Yeah, Martha Simons is right. Physicians are trusted with making observation diagnosis, but not therapists, right? Which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, does it? But it comes down to the fact that God forbid, right? If there was a cure out there for cancer, do you think that they would give it to us? Do you believe that they would? I don't. I don't think that there's any money in curing cancer. I think that there's a hell of a lot of money in treating it. They say that you're just under a 50% chance of dying of cancer in the on the world today. All right. So about half of the people on this planet are going to die of cancer. Can you name a president or a vice president that's ever died of cancer? Think about that. Have we ever lost a president or a vice president to cancer, in or out of office? Well, shouldn't that be a statistical impossibility, or really damn close to one? Right? Think about it. When's the last time we lost any huge high-ranking official to cancer? I don't know. That freaks me out. I'll tell you something else that freaks me out while we're on the cancer front. I knew someone that had it. Someone that I was as close to as you could be to a human being. I promise you. Literally as close as you can be to a human being. Thank you, Ann Hummingbird. 10 memberships. This individual got cancer, and I had been buying drugs online for I don't know how long. Right? I've been mail ordering drugs to my house. This is when Silk Road was still around and all that. But my the woman I was married to at the time, she and I ordered something called Podiarco tea, because the theory goes that there is a group of people, indigenous people, who drink this Podiarco, this bark off a tree called Podiarco. They make tea out of it and they all consume it, and they've never really had any cancer at all in their. They've never experienced this. This is something they don't know. And scientists have said that maybe it's the Podiarco, because there doesn't seem to be anything else unique about their diet. So we decided we were going to get some of this Podiarco tea into the United States because, damn it, our friend had cancer. So my wife at the time looked out the window and said, there are cops or feds walking up to the house. And I looked out the front window, and sure as hell, there were two guys in really cheap shoes and bad suits that were walking up to the house. And I opened the door, and the guy said to me, did you ever buy anything online shipped from another country? And I thought, I'm going to prison. And I go, what are we talking about exactly? And he goes, Podiarco tea. And I said, yeah, Podiarco tea, yeah. I bought some. He proceeded to take the box out of his car with it in it, which obviously he knew I bought it, right? So he was asking me a question he knew the answer to. I said, yes, I have a friend who has cancer, and I would like them to try them on Podiarco tea because I've read quite a bit about it. And he said, there are a list of places that you can get Podiarco online. That's all good. What you cannot do is buy the stuff that I bought. The stuff that they wanted me to buy has been pasteurized and whatever, and apparently doesn't do a whole lot. You want raw Podiarco. But you would have thought I was bringing in a kilo of blow, which I had ordered blow the day before, which wasn't a problem. I had been ordering heroin and cocaine to the house, never an issue. Pills, all of it. But Podiarco came across that border, and boy, oh boy, the people with badges showed up. So yeah, I think that's a tinfoil hat thing, but start researching it. Start naming all of the really famous people that you can think of. I'm talking about leaders. I don't mean actors and things. Leaders who have died of cancer in our country. Huh? You can come up with ones that have had it, but you're not going to come up with any that died of it. That's pretty odd when half of the planet dies of this disease. Yeah? I think that's odd. Huh? I should have saved it for Tinfoil Tuesday. I probably should have saved it for Tinfoil Tuesday. Thanks, Quiet Girl. Appreciate you. Woohoo! Vitamin B17, found in apricot seeds and peach seeds and such, contains a small amount of cyanide, but not a harmful amount. However, FDA makes it illegal. a vitamin. It kills cancer cells. Interesting, Tommy Bird. Not the first time I've heard that one either. Sherry, are you sitting on a motorcycle? Looks like you're sitting on a motorcycle. Rip Curl, good to see you, man. Rip, can you put your link up, please? I had somebody reach out to me the other day and say, you talked about Rip Curl. I think they got your name wrong, actually, but they said Rip something. And I was like, yeah, you want to try Rip Curl Readiness. So if I could get a link up for Rip, hopefully the person or people that have asked me can see that link. You will not regret it. Is Russ here? He was a moment ago. Yes, you are. All right. That's just something very cool about a girl sitting on a motorcycle. The VIT comes from apricot pips. Okay. See, you people are a wealth of knowledge and information. For real. And you know what? This is how people, I'm going to tell you something. This connection thing, the more I read, I read another really, really interesting study about geriatric men working out and the benefits that men of geriatric age get from working out. And what they found is that, in all honesty, very often it's a waste of time. Crazy, right? They said that very often, because by the time these guys start to work out late in life, there's so much damage that's done that aside from getting their heart pumping, there's not a lot of benefit going on. And very often, because of the condition that their bodies are in, they can hurt themselves more, right? By working out than not working out. Then it said the caveat, the exception to this would be, this is not the last show for today. There will be another show today. Yep. The beautiful thing about the entire concept, in fact, there's 2 more shows today. I'm sorry. I just saw something that I thought needed to be canceled. Sorry. Okay. But everybody coming together here, bringing all of this wealth of knowledge. It's there are 2 more. One is not. I'll just keep it real, people. Right? I am a very religious person. You do not have to listen to anything that I say that is religious. That's why I don't do it on this channel. But I am doing my normal routine on the other one as well. But I will be back tonight. I work in big pharma preclinical development, and I know that people definitely are putting cancer drugs into trial phase, whether or not it makes it out. Oh, I absolutely believe. There's also a ton of money in testing. There's a ton of money in research. I just don't think there's a ton of money in curing it. I mean, in curing it. I think they will constantly be coming out with a lot of ways to treat it. I don't think they're going to do a lot of curing of it. Right now, I think that the powers that be that are in office and the people that we don't see in office that are running the world, in my humble opinion, would like our population to be about half the size of what it is, right? And you know what, people? We got to do a little bit better at common sense. I'm going to leave us with this one. I don't talk about politics here, right? I really don't. But you know something? I saw a comedian yesterday, and it was cracking me up. They said, if you were near Hershey, Pennsylvania, right? And somehow Hershey, Pennsylvania was suddenly inundated waist deep with chocolatey goodness, you might think that the Hershey chocolate factory may have leaked out some of what it's manufacturing, right? Well, if there is a lab in Wuhan that is testing viruses that start with the letter C, you're familiar with these viruses, why would you think that a pandemic that started right there started any other place than the chocolatey goodness place that was testing on that particular stuff? If you don't believe that they caused that crap, then you all really, sorry. Really, really ugly. Look up vermectin and cancer, NIH websites. Doctors with cures are bought off or disappeared or denied patients. I believe this. I'm sorry, I do. I believe it. I believe it. Maybe it's because I've spent so much time in and out of doctors' offices. Marie Baxter, tomorrow I will be on Relatable Reese's channel at 11 o'clock Central Time. No, 1 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock Pacific Time. Tommy, that was Jon Stewart on Colbert. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I love Jon Stewart. I really do. I'm a big Jon Stewart fan. And I thought that was a great clip. I'm not a huge Colbert fan, to be honest with you. I think Colbert's mean. I've seen it. I read his book, and his book disturbed the crap out of me. He was just mean. I don't like mean people, man. I really don't. I can't stand mean people. Sorry. Yeah, Colbert is. He's just a jerk. You know what I mean? Like the guy. Um, you know what? Here's my thing. Right? Here's my thing. If you don't believe in a higher power, fantastic. Right? You're good. I would never pick on you for not believing anything. Nor would I pick on somebody for believing something different than me. And he has a lot of fun picking on people for their beliefs. And if you read his books, there's some vicious stuff in there where he's a non-believer, which is fine. I got no issues with non-believers. But I would never mock anybody for anything that they believe. And I think that that's mean. And I don't do mean, right? Mean people suck. I usually punch them in the face if you really want to know the truth, right? I'm reformed, but I've been smacking mean people around for most of my life. I don't like them. So these days I just avoid them because I stopped hitting people, right? You got to really do something stupid to get hit by me now. You got to basically mess with my family or a friend, right? But outside of that, I'm not getting into anything like that. So I avoid situations that make me angry, right? And Colbert makes me angry. Since reading his book, he just looks like a guy I think I'd like to get alone with in a room. You know what I mean? I think I'd like to be locked in a room with him for about 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm a reformed face puncher. I'll be really honest. I am kind of a reformed face puncher, but I'm reformed, and reformed is a good thing, right? All right, people, I got work to do. I got to get over to the other one, but I will be back this evening doing what we do, and so will this perfect animal. Look at her. That is a cat in the basket. That is the cat's paw hanging off the end of the basket. And that is the cat's head being hugged by her other paw. That, people, is a superior pussycat. I'm not trying to mock anybody else's cat. But squirrel really is about the top of the food chain for kitty cats. There, I said it. Hi, squirrel paw. Exactly, right? I could wake her up right now with the TREAT thing. I do that for your enjoyment, but sleeping squirrel is best left sleeping. See you guys. I'll see some of you on the other side. We'll see the rest of you later. God bless.